Now, all gits like me often complain that smartphones these days are practically bloody tablet sized, but in this case, this tablet is practically smartphone sized. And this dinky wee beastie is the Xiaomi Pad Mini, which perhaps unsurprisingly taken on the iPad Mini, and despite its diminutive stature, packed with beefy performance, as well as a cracking display for you movie and gaming fans. So let's have a wee fondle, see what it's all about, and for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do subscribe, ding the old notifications bell. Cheers! Now inside that box I had one Xiaomi Pad Mini tablet, a 2-pin 67 watt power adapter, of course won't get that here in Blighty, and a bit of Type A to Type C USB cable action. And that's everything chucked inside of the box, nice and easy. So the Xiaomi Pad Mini, easily the most compact tablet that I've had in my greasy wee mitts in 2025. It's only 8.8 inches, although admittedly not the skinniest bezels around, so that does add a little bit of extra girth. I can just about clutch it around back like so with my tiny wee goblin hands, although it does start to ache a little bit after a while, so I have to keep on swapping which hands I'm holding it in. If you don't have tiny hands like myself, then that shouldn't be a problem at all. If you did fancy clutching it at the edge like so, well, despite the fairly chunky bezels, unfortunately just the tiniest bit of hands spread onto that tablet means that it becomes completely unresponsive. But hey, no notch up top, which is one of the benefits of that fairly chunky bezel. And for such a compact tablet, it's reasonably skinny, 6.5 mils thick. And that all metal unibody feels reassuringly solid. I'd certainly be happy enough handing this thing to a smaller child, probably not a toddler, in case they hoy it at the wall or try feeding it to the dog or something. But it certainly feels proper robust, and it weighs just 326 grams. And the Xiaomi Pad Mini looks pretty smart overall, like the design, even though it's fairly simple and straightforward. Although unfortunately, despite the matte finish around back, as you can see, they're already picking up smudgy fingerprint shenanigans. You keep one of these things handy. And you got yourself a choice of two different colours, grey or purple randomly. Though, and despite the durable design, no mention of water and dust resistance, so you want to keep the Xiaomi Pad Mini from getting too moist. And if you want to keep your Xiaomi Pad Mini even further protected, you can slip some extra cash into Xiaomi's G-string for the Pad Mini cover. On first inspection, there seems to be a simple solid condom case that wraps around your wee beauty. But you do have a wee strap around back. You can pull this out and then slip your hand in there. Saves you having to bother actually holding the thing. And this can also conveniently be used to prop the tablet up for hands-free enjoyment if you're getting a bit of your uncle's spurt on the go, for instance. Now, sadly, Xiaomi hasn't slapped a fingerprint sensor onto the Pad Mini tablet. So yes, it's good old face unlock all the way, which thankfully seems pretty responsive and reliable. And then once you're in there, good old Xiaomi HyperOS version 2 slapped on top of Android 15. Hopefully that Android 16 and HyperOS 3 upgrade won't be too far behind. Although at the time I shot this video, sadly Xiaomi hadn't confirmed when that would be coming, or indeed how many OS updates and years of security patching the Xiaomi Pad Mini will enjoy. As soon as I got that info, I will slap it down in like a pinned comment or something. And if you haven't used HyperOS before, it is quite a heavy overlay, adds quite a lot of extra features and tweaks the general Android vibe. So for instance, you've got a control center as well as the separate notifications panel. More of an iOS-y kind of vibe there, but you've still got the Google Discover feed. You've still got your apps tray, thank God, and not too much crapware piled in here, surprisingly. Sometimes Xiaomi really goes to town slapping on stuff like AliExpress or the Amazon stuff. We've got LinkedIn on here, which I most definitely did not install myself. WPS Office, of course, and a couple of Xiaomi bits, but that's basically it. So that's lovely to see, although HyperOS can be a bit clunky, a bit awkward at times. Certainly finding your way around it all if you are just used to regular Android can be a bit tricky. But you can personalize and customize your tablet. Lots of interesting wallpapers and stuff slapped on here. A bit more limited compared with those Xiaomi HyperOS smartphones. However, there's no always on display on here, for instance, or at least not one that I can find. And so far today, I'm only about 3 whiskeys deep, so reasonably reliable. And of course, you've got all the standard Google AI shenanigans as well, Circle to Search, Gemini, etc. And the Xiaomi Pad Mini comes stacked with 256 gigs of storage as standard, but you can double up to 512 by again hoying more cash at Xiaomi. As far as connectivity goes, well, there's no SIM support in here, physical or eSIM, so it is Wi-Fi 7 all the way, at least you're future-proofed on that front, and had absolutely no issues with this. Downloaded the whole of Wuthering Waves, that massive great bloody git in bugger all time. Connection seems stable even when I sodded off into the garden for a wee bit. And if you happen to enjoy a good sketch or a scribble, well, you got full support here for the Xiaomi Focus Pen as well as that Redmi Smart Pen. Now the actual display slapped onto the front end of the Xiaomi Pad Mini is an 8.8-inch LCD panel. It's a 16:10 aspect ratio, which is well suited to many apps, and you can do a bit of side-by-side multitasking, although not exactly perfect if you are kicking back with some more cinematic fare. You can pinch in, of course, but then you do end up cropping quite a lot of the stuff that's happening at the edges, so not ideal. And despite the fact it's quite a compact screen, you got a 3008 by 1880 pixel resolution, so those visuals absolutely razor sharp. Ideal for browsing your photo collections, editing pics on the go, bit of gaming, movies, whatever you feel like. Speaking of movies, you've got Dolby Vision and HDR10 streaming supported in the likes of Netflix. And even though it's not OLED tech, that contrast is eye-spaffingly attractive. Nice natural looking visuals when you are enjoying a bit of HDR movie action. And those colours are reasonably poppy as well if you're enjoying a bit of anime on the go. Not quite OLED levels, but pretty decent. And also quite bright for an LCD screen as well. As you can see, laughs in the face of fierce studio lights. While that screen maxes out at 165Hz refresh rate, so silky smooth for all your everyday shenanigans. And good news for gamers as well, as long as your chosen games actually support that level of refresh, of course. And Xiaomi has slapped a pretty decent pair of stereo speakers onto its Pad Mini tablet as well. You got full Dolby Atmos support, high-res audio, all that good stuff. Let's jack up the volume, give it a bit of a go.
The London Craft Beer Festival, an annual excuse for pissheads like me to get absolutely steaming drunk, all under the guise of culture. Hooray!
So yeah, for a tablet this sort of size, impressive stuff. They're loud as you like, but the clarity isn't balked. It doesn't get all distorty and weird when you do max out that volume. A respectable amount of bass and everything as well, especially, as I say, for something this sort of size. Sadly, bugger all headphone jack anywhere on the Xiaomi Pad Mini. And good old Bluetooth seems to work absolutely fine. And then hidden away in one of the bezels on the Xiaomi Pad Mini, you've got yourself an 8-megapixel front-facing selfie camera. This can record you at full HD resolution at just 30 frames per second. Sadly, no 60 frames per second option, certainly no 4K option. And this seems to be fine for the old video chats. The only problem is when you are holding the tablet landscape mode like so, the camera is off to the side here rather than housed up at the top. So when you are chatting with your friends, family, whatever, it looks like he's kind of staring off to the side, completely ignoring them. And then because it's apparently mandatory for tablet manufacturers to slap a camera on the back end of these things, you've also got a 13 meg rear camera. And using this camera, you can actually capture 4K resolution footage at 30 frames per second, no 60 FPS option. And I guess using a tablet this compact to shoot photos and record video isn't entirely ridiculous, just slightly ludicrous. And no worries on the performance either, because Xiaomi has slapped in Mediatek's most beef-tastic Dimensity 9400 Plus chipset. That's the same clever wee bugger that it also used for the Xiaomi 15T Pro, its new upper mid-range, almost flagship smartphone. And the crux of it is everyday performance, absolutely fine, super smooth so far. Only judders I've seen have been very much HyperOS software related. Multitasking with many apps, not a problem. And if you are a gamer, well, no worries. Massive open world 3D memory slurping efforts like Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves play perfectly. Wuthering Waves, I bumped it up to the maximum graphics levels and got gaming on that for a good hour. And that frame rate did not stumble even once, as far as my knackered old peepers could determine. And sterling performance, helped along by the 12 gigs of RAM that was stuffed in here. You do just get 8 gigs of RAM if you go for the base 256 gigabytes of storage model, however. And the Xiaomi Pad Mini stays cool under pressure as well, only got slightly warm around back even after lots of Wuthering Waves action. And of course you've got that usual HyperOS gaming mode slapped on here as well, which helps to boost the performance, just keep it as silky smooth as possible. Got a few other performance settings, including a network speed boost. Not actually sure how influential they are, but certainly, as I say, I had no issues with a good bit of gaming. Got a do not disturb feature, you can screenshot the action, record it as well if you want to. And there is also a slow charging option if you want to plug the Xiaomi Pad Mini in and keep that battery topped up while you are gaming. Speaking of the battery, it's a 7,500 mAh capacity cell stuffed in there. Not bad at all, considering it's quite a compact, dinky tablet. I haven't been able to spend much time with the Xiaomi Pad Mini just yet, sadly, but certainly in the last couple of days I've been playing around with it. It seems like you'll get a full day of mixed use out of a single charge, no worries. That battery drain is a mere trickle if you're, just browsing the web, streaming some audio or whatever. And if you're streaming videos non-stop over Wi-Fi, you can expect around sort of 13-ish hours of battery life. That's on a reasonably high brightness level and everything. You'll get a bit more than that if you're actually just watching videos that you've already downloaded onto the tablet. So certainly seems to be a good one to take on those road trips or those long haul flights, especially as you'll be able to cram it into your carry-on luggage, no worries. And then when you do need to power the Xiaomi Pad Mini back up again, well, it's pretty nippy in that respect, 67 watt fast charge support. So using Xiaomi's bundled adapter, you're looking at about an hour and a half to power this thing back up to full from when it's fully drained. And there you have it, my lovelies. That in a tasty wee nutshell is the fresh new Xiaomi Pad Mini, bit of an iPad mini rival. Check the video description and the pinned comments for full UK price and information. But usually Xiaomi gets some pretty tasty early bird deals on the go as well. So if you're quick, you can probably get it with like the cover, a stylus, earphones, all kinds of shit bundled in there. In the meantime, it'd be great to hear what you reckon of the Xiaomi Pad Mini. I certainly like it. It's beefy performance, pretty strong battery life for a compact device, cracking display even if it isn't OLED tech, respectable audio and everything, it's just the HyperOS software is a bit hit and miss, shall we say. But yes, let us know what you think down in the comments below. Please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech, and have yourselves a ruddy, wonderful rest of the week. Cheers everybody, love you!